British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, I'm Isabella Calisi, and this is your news update to 3:30. With the provincial debate hours away, undecided voters can use this as an opportunity to learn more about each candidate. Reporter Keenan Driaskis has learned the importance of a debate this close to the election.
Premier David Eby, the Conservative Party leader John Rousted, and Sonia Furstenau of the Green Party meet on the debate stage tonight. Current polling done by 338 Canada shows the NDP and Conservatives neck and neck. With polling this close, Anne Kang, BC NDP candidate for Burnaby Centre, says undecided voters are presented with a great opportunity at tonight's debate.
Well, tonight's debate is an opportunity for our leaders to really highlight the top issues that they know matters to British Columbians. And there's more to hear on the leaders and echoes coming if they do miss it. But really listen to the inner voices and the passions of our leaders.
Advanced voting begins on October 10th, while the final day to vote is the 19th. Keenan Driaskis with BCIT's The Crow.
And as voters await the upcoming debate, our reporter Ryan Bowles has more on what viewers can expect from the televised event.
As tonight marks the last event before final voting day in the BC election, voters can expect a contentious debate between the three leaders. Nicholas Kenny, a political science professor at Simon Fraser University, says this is the chance for voters to form their final opinion on who to cast their ballot for.
It's the one time, I think, when a lot of voters really tune in. It's sort of often seen as the one thing that people are really going to pay attention to as they're formulating their decision as to who to vote for.
Kenny says all three parties are looking to offer voters something completely different from their opponents. Tonight's debate starts at 6:30. Ryan Bowles, BCIT's The Crow.
Ryan Bowles joins me in the studio today. So, Ryan, the provincial party leaders had a radio debate last week. How has that set the stage for tonight's debate?
So it kind of showed us what we can expect, at least in exchanges between Premier Eby and the Conservative leader John Rousted. Eby kind of showed a propensity to prosecute a case against the Conservative leader. Eby's a former lawyer, so it kind of showed him articulating a case as to why people should vote for him over John Rousted.
Interesting. And what sort of challenges do the party leaders face with voters in the debate tonight?
Well, at least for Premier Eby and John Rousted, this is the first time they've ever engaged in a debate like this. Sonia Furstenau has done this before in the 2020 election. And while Eby is an accomplished public speaker, he was a lawyer and he was the executive director of the Civil Liberties Association, John Rousted, while he was a government minister in Christy Clark's Liberal government, has always been more of a supporting player in government, in provincial politics. And Sonia Furstenau, her challenge is more around her party and people seeing voting for the Greens as sort of throwing away their vote. So she has to convince voters that no, she is fit and she is a viable candidate for premier.
Fascinating. Thank you, Ryan. Today, the leader of the Conservative Party, John Rousted, previewed his solutions to BC's toxic drug crisis to the public. Rousted wants to end the current decriminalization pilot project and build a new addiction recovery system that would supply housing with treatment.
The next big step, of course, is to make sure that we have treatment to recovery. So we're going to cut wait times for voluntary addiction treatment. No question in my mind, if you are going through treatment and you go through detox, you need to be able to get into recovery. And over the long run, you cannot be waiting. It's just a trap that goes back into addictions.
Rousted says the plan's timeline and cost will be revealed within the coming days. And provincial leaders are condemning a hateful rhetoric from a speaker at a pro-Palestinian rally in Vancouver Monday night. The mass speaker was filmed as she told the gathered crowd, quote, "We are Hezbollah and we are Hamas," end quote. Both of these groups are terrorist entities in Canada. The unidentified woman was also filmed leading a crowd of hundreds at the Vancouver Art Gallery. They were chanting, quote, "Death to Canada, death to United States, and death to Israel," end quote, with some of the group burning Canadian flags. The protest was organized by the pro-Palestinian group Semidoun for the anniversary of Hamas's attack on Israel, which has led to the deaths of almost 41,000 people in Gaza. NDP leader David Eby responded to a post on X that was describing the speech, saying, quote, "This kind of hateful rhetoric is wrong and has no place in our province." Conservative leader John Rustad said in a statement that this kind of behavior is, quote, "completely unacceptable." On to other local news. There has been a change in Canada's bird population over the last few decades. Our reporter Vivek Nakra explains how so.
Some bird species have shown a decline in the trend since 1970, while other species have similar trends. According to the research done by Cornell Lab, the North American bird population has lost around 3 billion breeding adults since 1970. David Green, an ecologist at Simon Fraser University, explains the potential reason behind the decline in bird species.
The major threats to these sort of species include the loss of habitat as humans have a bigger and bigger impact on the globe, environmental degradation as we alter habitat and change it, and perhaps climate change as well having impacts on some populations.
Green says that some of the species were also impacted by a pesticide that had an impact on birds' eggs. Vivek Nakra, BCIT is The Crow.
And an estimated 16,000 trees may be removed from Stanley Park. Reporter Tammy Mack explains why this is necessary.
Crews are in the process of removing dead trees from Stanley Park. According to Brendan Bastiovansky, Park Board Chair, the high volume of people that use the park every day mean that this is necessary for everyone's safety.
We have 18 million visitors to the park every year. By having the trees fall down at random times means that huge areas of the park would have to be shut. And not just to pedestrians, but for volunteers and workers. That means that the invasive species that are currently in there would take over those areas where people would not be allowed to go because of the danger level. You can't have volunteers working underneath dead trees. It's incredibly dangerous.
Bastiovansky also says this gives them an opportunity to strengthen the forest with new, healthier trees. Tammy Mack, BCIT's The Crow.
On to the States. Hurricane Milton has once again been upgraded to a Category 5 storm by the U.S. National Hurricane Center. Although previously at a Category 4 rating, the wind speeds have once again picked up to a Category 5. The Hurricane Center says the storm is currently located about 775 kilometers from Tampa, Florida, and has sustained speeds of 270 kilometers per hour. Airports in the Gulf Coast are busy today as the hurricane continues along. As Alex Stone explains, airlines are adding more flights to help get people out.
United Airlines is not only using bigger planes to get more people out of the storm zone, but it added 18 extra flights. It says it's booked 25,000 passengers, getting them out of the area, taking them to places like Denver, Houston, Chicago, and Newark, all big United hubs. But the airline says its flights out of the storm zone are now full. Alex Stone, EBC News.
And advocates for immigrants in the Gulf Coast area are translating official information about the storm into Spanish. The translations are being shared with Hispanic groups on Facebook, WhatsApp, and other social media platforms. This includes the location of shelters, gasoline, sandbags, food, and water. Many Spanish immigrants have been reaching out to groups that serve low-income Hispanic families in the area. The general coordinator at the Farm Worker Association, Jessica Ramirez, says in emergency situations like this, it's not easy to find information in Spanish. And in other international news, computer science professor Geoffrey Hinton says he is flabbergasted after learning of his shared win of the Nobel Prize for Physics. The 76-year-old from the University of Toronto won the award alongside Princeton University researcher John Hopfield. They were awarded for their work in developing the foundations of machine learning and artificial intelligence. The two have been invited to receive their awards at the Nobel Prize ceremony on December 10th, and more Nobel Prize announcements will continue tomorrow with the winner of Chemistry Physics Award. And getting into weather, although the rain should be stopping sometime soon, it'll still be cloudy with a 60% chance of rain all through the night. The high today is 16, but with that low of 10. Good luck driving with your wet socks in that hour commute home, folks. I certainly do not look forward to it. That has been your news update at 3:30.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zach Arabko, and here are your sports updates to 3:45 p.m. The NHL season is underway in North America. Climate Pledge Arena is hosting a game between the Seattle Kraken and St. Louis Blues. The score is currently 3-2 Blues in the third period. All 5 goals came in the second. Kraken assistant coach Jessica Campbell made history, becoming the first female coach behind the bench in an NHL game. Tonight's slate features 2 more games. The defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers unveil their championship banner against the Boston Bruins at 4:30. Lastly, the Utah Hockey Club hosts their inaugural game against Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks at 7. The Vancouver Canucks make their season debut tomorrow night against the Calgary Flames. Defenseman Mark Friedman was placed on waivers. He initially made the opening night roster, but will report to the AHL's Abbotsford Canucks if he clears waivers. Head coach Rick Tocchet said he's happy with how his roster has come together.
And it's a close group. I think the new guys and the young guys have really fit in well. I know it's only been 3 weeks, but you can see the gel.
On the baseball diamond, 2 heated rivalries take the mound for their third NLDS games. First, the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies are playing in New York. Mets first baseman Pete Alonso led off the scoring with this blast to right field.
And he swings at the first pitch, launches it to right, back Castellanos, Pete Alonso, back at Citi Field, 1-0 New York.
The score is currently 2-0 Mets in the bottom of the 6th inning. Then the Los Angeles Dodgers head to San Diego's Petco Park for Game 3 of their series. Dodgers fans in Game 2 threw baseballs and beers at Padres outfielder Jurickson Profar, which caused a delay. Padres manager Mike Schilt says geography plays a huge role in their rivalry.
Geography creates a, natural rivalry, enthusiasm amongst 2 fan bases. So that's very unique and exciting and fun to be a part of and experience.
Walker Buehler is expected to take the mound for the Dodgers against Michael King of the Padres. The Dodgers also announced first baseman Freddie Freeman will be active for tonight's game after leaving Game 2 with an injury. First pitch is at 6:08. The first domino in the NFL coaching carousel has fallen today. The Associated Press's Gethin Kuhlbach has more information.
Robert Saleh insisted no one was panicked about the Jets' slow start. 1 day later, he was out of a job. Owner Woody Johnson made the stunning decision Tuesday to fire Saleh 5 games into his 4th season after the team's 2-3 start. Johnson said in a statement he believes the Jets were not where they should be given their expectations. Saleh was 20-36 as coach of the Jets. His firing marks the first time in Johnson's 25-year tenure that a head coach has been fired during the season. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will serve as interim coach. I'm Gethin Kuhlbach.
In basketball, the Toronto Raptors announced RJ Barrett will miss the remainder of the preseason after sustaining a shoulder injury. Barrett left the 125-98 point victory over the Washington Wizards after running through a screen. Raptors head coach Darko Rakovic says he expects Barrett to be busy ahead of the season opener on October 23rd.
They're going to go week by week. He will be able to do a lot of other stuff, conditioning-wise, and to address, his health everywhere else with his knees and strength and all of that. So once he comes back, he's going to be in a great position to continue.
The WNBA playoffs second round continues tonight at 5 p.m. The Connecticut Sun played the Minnesota Lynx in a decisive Game 5. Lynx forward Nafisha Collier says playing tonight's game at home is a culmination of the Lynx' hard work this season.
Yeah, this is why, obviously you work so hard in the regular season is because you want this advantage. Obviously we wish we didn't have to go home for that game, but since we are, it's really nice to have that home court advantage. We love playing at home. We love playing in front of our fans, and so we have to go there and defend our home.
The winner of this game has a date with the New York Liberty in the WNBA Finals, which begin on October 10th. Thank you all for listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Who has
has not gone to a professional sporting event and gotten gouged by concession prices? Here in Vancouver, you can visit Rogers Arena and spend over $20 on a burger, an additional $25 on beer, factor in the expensive parking and $100 tickets, and one of these nights out gets very expensive for consumers. I think cheaper concession offerings will be instrumental in making the in-arena experience better for fans and should be mimicked by other professional sports teams. Before their inaugural season, the owners of the Utah Hockey Club, Ryan and Ashley Smith, announced shockingly cheap concession prices to get fans in the arena this year. $2 bottles of water and $3 popcorn, nachos, hot dogs, and ice cream will be at home games for the Utah Hockey Club and the NBA's Utah Jazz. Before Canadians like me hear this and get excited, I regret to inform you all those prices are in USD, but still cheaper than our going to hockey games is expensive. According to the Fan Cost Index, a family of four's expensive for a hockey game averages $432 American across the league. Ownership like the Smith family, shying away from their monopoly on concession prices to get customers watching games in person will be a positive step towards making games more affordable. My name is Zach Arabko, and this is today's Sports Comment.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in.